Okay, we're going to talk about a shortcut for squaring a binomial. A binomial is a two-term expression, and if you notice in this little flash doohickey I've designed here, it's trying to show you and give emphasis to the fact that the quantity a plus b squared is actually two factors of the quantity a plus b. So if you see this, it's actually going to turn into a FOIL problem. This is the thing that people forget. Just real quickly, what they do is they see that it's a squared and b squared, so they think it's a squared plus b squared. This is false, especially when you can see this as a FOIL problem, and you start drawing the arches you need. You're in fact going to get four terms, not just two. Okay? Most of the time you get three terms because you can combine the middle two for like terms. So this is the big mistake we encounter when kids square a binomial. Moving on, let's take a look at what the shortcut is for this. I used L and R instead of A and B or X and Y in this model to represent left and right, a left term and a right term. So if we notice, if we have the sum of a left and right term squared, it can be expanded by doing the left term squared, the left times the right term, and then doubled, hence the times two part, and the right term squared. Easiest way that I can think to do it, I've been teaching it this way for some years, and once it catches on, kids do the algorithm pretty quickly. So let's take a look here. We've got a left term being x and a right term being 4. We have x plus 4 to the second power. Well, it's going to be the left term squared, which is x squared. The left times the right, which is 4x, times 2, which is 8x, and then the right term squared, which is going to be 4 squared, which gives us 16. If you notice, that was a lot quicker than rewriting the second quantity of x plus 4 and foiling out and drawing your arches and things like that. Again, this video is trying to focus on a shortcut that, as you get into Algebra 2, you really should be well versed in. So in this next example, we have that 3x is our left term, negative y is our right term. So when we square the left term, we're going to get 9x squared for squaring both the 3 and the x. And then when we do the left times the right, we see it's going to be 3x times negative y is negative 3xy times 2 is negative 6xy. And then the right term squared is going to be negative y times negative y, which is going to give us positive y squared. The last term when you square a binomial can never be negative because it's always going to be a square. Something times itself will always be positive. Now just trying to give you a little harder example here, one that's got some exponents in it, multiple variables in the same term. Okay, so we've got the left term is x to the fourth y, and when we square that, we double both the exponents. So we get x to the eighth y squared. And then when we multiply the left times the right, we're going to get negative 9x to the fourth y. But then when we double it, we're going to get negative 18x to the fourth y. And then when we square the last term, the right term, we're going to get positive 81. Okay, also too, one thing to notice in this pattern is that the middle term has the same degree of the exponents as the given. So we're seeing that in the middle term, the exponents aren't changing, even when we put the variables together to make a product. Okay, so let's continue on just for a second into a little different area. One of the things I want to talk about too is squaring a binomial versus a monomial, because this skill is one that, as you learn it, you could confuse it with another skill you already have. Now, these two problems look very much alike. Okay? They both have a 4x and a y in it. You're both squaring it, and they both have parentheses in it. But the one you need to do the binomial expansion trick we just learned is on this one, because this is a binomial. This one over here on the right is in fact just a monomial. So don't get confused in which scenario you will apply this trick to. The problem on the right is actually quite simple. You're just squaring each of the factors in this quantity. So it's 4 squared, which is 16, x squared, which is x squared, and y squared, which is y squared. Okay? But on the problem on the left, although it looks very similar, we notice we have this sum here. It's an addition, which makes two terms. Okay? Well, that's the one that we formally expanded it, you would get a FOIL problem. The one on the right, you don't. You just get a monomial times a monomial when you go to square it. So this one on the left, again, it's going to be the left term squared, so it's 4x all squared, so it's 16x squared. The left times the right, which is 4xy times 2, so you're going to get positive 8xy. And then the last term squared is y squared. So feel free to watch this. It just takes a little bit of practice and you'll be able to become incredibly proficient at this very quickly. So enjoy.